And couches uncomfortable. Consume junk food till I'm uncomfortably full. Close my eyes after a long day of school. Turn on the TV, got nothing to do. Go pick up my friends for a Starbucks cruise. Come back home, parents watching the news. Sit around the table, pray to God for our food.
Hello and welcome to the Day in the Life of a University of Melbourne student. I am the student, Ashima Singh, and you're watching my channel, Aesthetic Academic. For those of you who are new here, I started this channel because a few years ago, I actually got kicked out of university. And then a few years after that, I managed to get accepted into a medicine degree. So I thought that was a pretty sweet 180 and I knew it was a story that could help a lot of people. So subscribe to my channel if you want to feel good about dreaming big, irrespective of how you've performed in the past. I've got a few things to get through today. I've got a class this morning and I've got a few lectures I need to get through as well. And towards the end of the day, I'm going to be editing this video with some really awesome footage. But first order of business is that I'm hungry. Did you know that 51% of Australians do not get their daily recommended intake of fruit and 66% do not get their daily recommended intake of vegetables? I know that I fall into that category too when I'm not making conscious effort to try to include more fruit and vegetable into my diet. This is a modified version of a smoothie recipe that Reese Witherspoon posted on Instagram. It's actually so bloody delicious and so full of fruit and vegetable that I feel freaking amazing and so proud of myself for drinking it. To recreate this recipe, you need 1 apple, 1 pear, and 1 banana. Riper fruits will give you a better flavour. A full head of cos lettuce, I'm not joking, a full lettuce. Half of a lemon, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, and 1 cup of water. All of these ingredients actually reach to above the max fill line of my NutriBullet. So if you don't want to break your blender, I suggest you don't do that, but I just personally fuck the system. It's currently 8:45 and I have my first class at 11 o'clock. And the first thing I need to do when I get on a computer for the day is to make sure that my self-control timer is on. If you don't know what self-control is, it's an app that you add to your computer and you enter websites that you procrastinate on the most. So mine are Facebook, Reddit, Instagram. And now I can't access any of those websites until this timer is over. So in 18 hours is when this will unblock. I do have to keep adding websites to the block list as I go along, because you know how when you go to the fridge and you're trying to find something to eat and then you can't find something to eat, so you leave, but then you come back 2 hours later and your standards are lower, so then you do end up finding something to eat. This is an embarrassing story, but the other day I was doing an online lab, working away, and then a few minutes later I look up at the computer screen and I'm on the dailymail.com reading about some like D-grade celebrity that I didn't even know who they were. And that was a new procrastination low for me. I'm really excited to show you guys how I gamify my studying, because this is such a good way to get heaps of work done and to not get overwhelmed by the amount of work that you have to do. I used to be someone who would write lists of things that I needed to do, like lectures I needed to go through, and I would always write an overly ambitious list that I could never get done. And no matter what happened, I would always overestimate my abilities to complete work in a given day. And at the end of every day, I was feeling really disappointed because I wasn't getting through the work that I had outlined for myself to do. So I felt like I was failing myself, even though the lists that I was writing were just not achievable. Instead of writing lists of things I need to do now, I now aim to do 3 1.5 hour timers 5 days a week. How the gamification part works is that I have to do 3 to give myself 1 stars for the day. If I do 4, then I get 2 stars. And if I do 5, then I get 3 stars. Every day is like a video game in that I have to get at least 1 star to progress to the next level, which is the next day. I get so much more work done this way because I'm never too overwhelmed to start. I try to do at least 1 timer before all of my classes every week. So today's class is at 11, so I need to start my timer right now, which is 9 o'clock. And then I can have a break at 10:30 before my next class. So I use the app Be Focused, and I better get stuck into it. So I just finished my first 1.5 hour timer and I managed to make it through a full lecture, which is pretty good for me at home because I can get very distracted here. My mind was wandering a little bit today as well because I took some really awesome footage of Melbourne Uni to show you guys, and I'm editing it together later today, but I'm just so excited by the possibilities of it that I keep thinking about it. So make sure you guys stick around for that part of the video because it's going to be sick. For now, until my next class, I think I'm just going to do a light tidy so I can get up off my chair for a change, and I will see you guys after my next class. Case-supported learning, or CSL as we call it, is one of 3 tutorials that we have here at Melbourne Uni for first year medicine. How CSL is structured is that at the start of the tutorial we receive a scenario trigger. So basically we receive some information about a patient who has some symptoms or has been in an accident or something, and we have to work through it as a class on Monday. And then we leave Monday with a pretty good idea of what's going on, but then we have the rest of the week to really nut out the details and come up with a mechanism of how this person has become ill and how they can be treated. And then we reconvene on Friday and we go over all of those things as a class to come up with a good mechanism of action of whatever we're dealing with in that particular week. We're currently in our reproductive blocks, so all of our cases in CSL are based around something to do with reproduction or reproductive organs. In today's case, we've come up with Rory Cooper, who's a 25-year-old male, and he has had some pain in his testicles, and we're just trying to go through all the different things that it could be. And we also focus on painting a really good picture of what has been going on in this person's life leading up to this event by asking the right questions and getting the right answers so we can take a thorough patient history. I am famished now, like I am after most every class, but especially a 2-hour long one. And so it's time for me to make my favorite egg sandwich that I've had literally every day this year, and I'm still not sick of it. To make the better than McDonald's egg muffin, you need 2 eggs, tomato sauce, sriracha mayo, English muffins, and some cheese. I'm using tasty cheese. Chuck your bread in the toaster and then turn on a pan to medium-high heat with some olive oil. Crack in both your eggs and then add a little bit of salt. You only want to add a little bit because the cheese and the sauce that comes later also has salt in it, so you don't want to overdo it, end up with high blood pressure and be dead. I like my eggs over medium because I fucking hate the texture of egg whites. For those of you who don't mind the texture of egg whites, do you realize that that's the same texture as phlegm? Yeah, like the same texture, and you're okay with that? What's wrong with you? Apply both the sauces to only one side of the bread, stack your eggs, and then get ready for the sexiest part of this sandwich construction. Pop your cheese straight onto the pan on medium-high heat. I went a little bit overboard today, normally I don't put so much. And you want to wait until the edges crisp up and turn a brown color, so then you can add some texture to your sandwich. Use the second slice of bread to pick the cheese up off the pan and make your way carefully to your sandwich. Oh my god, this sandwich just hits so good every time. Something about the crispiness of the cheese and the softness of the eggs and the spiciness of the sriracha and the sweetness of the tomato sauce. It's just the perfect combination. Oh, it's so good. I'm like salivating right now recording this voiceover. I'm obviously pretending to be a dainty eater here because if there wasn't a camera on, I would have demolished this sandwich in about 2 seconds. I think the key to a great sandwich or burger is mixing together multiple sauces. Do you guys have any good combos that you do? Let me know in the comments. Yes, I'm just about to get into my second timer for the day and I'm hoping to get through another lecture if I'm good, and then I'll be able to get through it. And I don't write notes per se. I do doodle as I am watching my lectures, but I think to qualify as notes, they need to be legible enough for you to reread at another point. And mine are definitely not that. They're just me like jotting down to try to keep focused as I'm watching something instead of drifting off. But I do find I absorb the most information if I just watch the lecture and try not to do too much other stuff and just absorb it. I'm definitely not someone who can type notes as I'm watching a lecture. That just doesn't work for me. I don't get anything out of it because I'm not even listening properly. I'm just writing it down. So for me, pen and paper, I'm laughing because every time I talk about this pen, I turn into a rabid dog and froth at the mouth because I'm just so passionate about how much I love this. But this is the Lamy Safari and it's a fountain pen. For those of you who don't know what a fountain pen is, it's one of these guys. And I just love this pen because it just makes writing so much more enjoyable. Like I have never enjoyed writing as much as when I've got this pen. This one is about $50, so it's really beginner's range fountain pen. They can range up to like several hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, but this one works great for me. Inside, it comes with a little converter like this, and this is where the ink goes. And so you can buy little bottles of ink and then you can just refill the pen. I really like the ritualistic aspect of filling the pen because it just kind of symbolizes that I'm going to be studying, and I really like that. And I love the variety of inks that you can get. There's so many different colors. My first color that I ever bought was a dark purple. Oh, I'll see if I can find the bottle. The bottles are really cute. So my first ink color was dark purple because I just became obsessed with the idea of having a dark purple ink, and I had a yellowish toned diary at the time, so I was like, oh, that's going to look really cool to have like dark purple ink with this planner. And the obsession just grew from there because there's all these YouTube channels that actually review different inks and different pens, and it's just really fun. I really love learning more about different inks and finding new ones. This is for sure my favorite ink review channel, Vita R. I love the girl's voice. She sounds a little bit like Daria, and I love Daria. And yeah, she's reviewed so many inks. It's awesome. I've probably watched every single one of these videos because this is how I procrastinate. Since I've had a few bottles of purple ink, I've moved on to trying to find a good green ink. Some of them I like more than others. Like this one, I found it was a bit dry for my pen, but God, isn't this packaging amazing? And this one, which is by the same brand of people who made the pen, Lamy, it works really well for my pen, but it's not quite as bottle green as I wanted it to be. It's a little bit light. So yeah, definitely something fun to get around if you want to spice up your studying and make it a little bit more enjoyable for yourself. It's time for me to get stuck into my second timer, so I will be seeing you on the other side. Finish my second timer, I'm going to have a break and continue reading the book I'm reading at the moment, which is called Too Much, Never Enough, and it's about Donald Trump. Like most people, as a child, I was a really avid reader, but I sort of fell out of the habit in my late teens and early 20s. But a few years ago, I realized that I really missed reading and I really wanted the benefits that come from reading, like enhanced focus and building my vocabulary and all that good stuff. So I set a goal for myself to read 12 books a year. Every year since then, I've just added on an extra book. So this year, I'm reading 14 books in the year. I find reading really relaxing and it's really nice to just be away from my computer and spend time with my dogs. And it just makes me really happy. I also find it really soothing. So if I'm stressed out, then I do find that it takes the edge off that stress for me. My sister bought me a Kindle for my birthday and I am obsessed with it. I love reading on it. I honestly prefer reading on the Kindle than I do reading in a book. One of my favorite features of the Kindle is it tells you how far through your book you are. So I'll read like 5% now and I'll read 5% before bed. And so every day I'm reading roughly 10% of a book. I also really like that it's the same shape and size as my phone. So the part of my brain that's addicted to looking at my phone is pretty satisfied picking this up and reading through a few pages. I used to be really addicted to smoking cigarettes, and it was that habitual nature of it that was the hardest part to quit. So in my quest to stay off my phone, this has been really, really useful as well and far more productive. I'm really enjoying this book. It's by Donald Trump's niece, Mary Trump. So Mary's father was Donald's brother. And it's basically an expose about their family. And Mary is also a clinical psychologist, so she's doing like a psychoanalysis of her family, which is pretty interesting. I'm always looking for new book recommendations, so if you have any, leave them in the comments. So Daisy and Willow like to sit behind me on my chair, And because Willow's extremely codependent, she can't be without Daisy anytime. She needs to be around Daisy 24/7. Daisy just has to deal with it, poor doll. But that only gives me this much room to sit. So I just have to perch myself where I can because these guys rule the whole house. Finally done studying for the day. Daisy's fallen asleep, so is Willow. I basically fell asleep, but you know, we got it done. So I'm just gonna make myself a quick coffee and then I'm going to edit this video. Thanks for coming, everyone. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did enjoy it, it would be awesome if you could like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you next time I post.